Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with today's Daily Comedy News. Josh Peck shot back at Amy Schumer's recent criticism of Jo Koy's Golden Globes monologue. All right, you got this? Jo Koy was so mean to Taylor Swift, and then Amy didn't like that, and then Josh Peck commented. Josh was on the Good Guys podcast and said, I took issue with Amy Schumer, who recently was on the Dear Media podcast. She was asked about Jo Koy. I feel defensive of comedians. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. And she was basically critical of Jo Koy. She was throwing him under the bus, which was crappy because she's a comedian. It's like, we all know he had a tough night. Why continue to go after him a month later? Peck noted he isn't a comedian himself, but his comedian friend Giannis Pappas shared his thoughts. Giannis said, the jokes are fine. He just wasn't confident because it was such an intimidating room and they weren't giving him love. He was undeserving of all the backlash. You may recall that Taylor Swift basically murdered Jo Koy's career after Jo told this horribly mean joke. I'm afraid to even share with you. It's so vicious, but let's listen.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift. I swear.
Oh, man, that is just so mean. I don't know how Jo Koy could have possibly said such a mean thing about Taylor Swift. Schumer at one point had been on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast. I hadn't seen any pickup about this interview, but apparently she said if the audience doesn't laugh, then it's a problem. The thing with Jo, he threw his writers under the bus, and that was not a good look. Now, pay attention to this next part. Is this SOP? Do people do this? I've been around enough comedians, and I don't know that this is done. Amy apparently said, if I'm going to say a joke about anyone, I'm going to clear it. Like, I cleared my jokes to Leonardo DiCaprio. I cleared it with these people because I don't want to make that mistake. Really? Hey, Leo, are you okay with these? Really? That's really interesting to me. Now, Amy runs in a particular circle of the elite, and I guess she likes staying in that circle. Amy added that it does not feel good when the whole internet is mad at you, and clarified that she does not wish that on anyone. Peck's co-host Ben said, if you're bombing, you don't need to tell us that you're bombing because your writers suck. He threw them under the bus. You know what? It was a live show. The guy riffed a joke. Really? It's not that bad. Get over yourselves, writers. Meanwhile, Amy Schumer hilariously crashes 2 wedding photo shoots in New York. You know, when you're out there and you're doing your wedding shoot and you're paying this photographer and, you want to make sure everything is perfect for your big day, you definitely want Amy Schumer coming in and crashing her photos so she gets to do Instagram posts. That's what you're looking for. I know I was when I got married. Amy shared these on her Instagram story. She's dressed in workout gear as she posed next to 2 different couples in wedding attire. Kind of curious that she ran into 2 different people. The first couple were posing in front of the Manhattan skyline and holding flowers, and they smiled for the camera as Amy Schumer stood next to them in a pair of sunglasses. She captioned the pic, "No days off." The second couple, sitting in front of some greenery in a park, were also joined by Amy as she took a seat at the end of the bench. Amy has done this before, back in 2017. That couple told E! News at the time that Amy got out of her car and asked for a pic with us. She congratulated us. She let us take some photos by her car. After we had finished taking photos, she offered us a lift to our reception as we were hailing a cab. Last April, Schumer interrupted another wedding photo shoot. They wrote, it's got to be great luck when Amy Schumer crashes your wedding. She just walked right up to us and asked to be in some photos. Now, let me ask you, how often do you run into photo shoots? I'm from New York City. I grew up in Queens. I worked in Manhattan for decades. I've spent the last 10 years more or less in the suburbs. So, maybe wedding photography has exploded since COVID. I don't know. But what is going on here, Amy? Are you just randomly, constantly running into wedding shoots? Are you going to the places where people often do wedding shoots on purpose? Is this some sort of stunt? Johnny Mac's suspicious radar is going, What is going on here? Kyle Kinane was on Late Night with Seth Meyers. Kyle explains where he got the name for his new special Dirt Nap with Seth. And the whole vibe was weird. The whole clip is on the internet if you want to watch it. It's 8 minutes long. But it just seems like, I don't know, we're 10 years into this. Does Late Night with Seth Meyers matter? The vibe is just weird. Low energy. Here, let's listen to Kyle.
Dirt Nap is a unique title for a stand-up special.
Yeah.
And it's also the name of your cat.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Lil Dirty. She's up there in heaven now. It was a stray cat that was living in the yard of this house we moved into. And, you can't really name a stray cat, so it went through some iterations. At first, we were calling it Helen. So we thought it was blind and deaf. So my girlfriend named it that, so you're not mad at me, you're mad at her. And then I was calling it Dirt Nap on account of, it would just sleep in the dirt and it looked deceased, like most of the time.
And how many, so it seemed like you maybe didn't get a lot of good years with Dirt Nap.
We got 3 great years, I'll tell you.
That's
three
pretty
great
good.
years. We found it was a 16-year-old cat from it. This was a 16-year-old stray cat that we're like, all right, we're going to give this thing the best sunset we can give it.
Well, that's fantastic you did that.
Yeah.
If you want to see the special now, you can pay $10 to see it on the 800-Pound Gorilla website. It'll be on YouTube on April 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern. Paste Magazine spent the $10 or got a review copy, and they say Dirt Nap draws offbeat parallels between vegan quesadillas and religion, calls BS on Vin Diesel's post-mission sex drive in the Fast and the Furious movies, and applies improv rules to phone calls with his mother. They liked it a lot. Rami Youssef will have a special called More Feelings. This will be on HBO Max, HBO Max. I think this is on proper HBO, whatever that means these days. There is a trailer. Let's listen.
I'm done apologizing. I'm done saying that we're peaceful. For 20 years, we've had to prove to people that we're safe, right? Every time you turn on CNN, there's like some Arab dude talking about how Islam means peace. You know that guy? But he's always shouting it. He's always like, we come in peace! You're like, bro, that's the slogan for aliens.
The official description tells us Rami Youssef will offer his unique reflections on our divided world, the unexpected perils of charitable giving, and more, and hit on topics including the 2024 presidential election, the importance of prayer, and a childhood book report that changed the course of his life. I sat down and I watched Hannah Gadsby's Gender Agenda. I had to actively look for it. I thought Netflix would put it in front of me, and apparently Netflix has profiled Johnny Mac and thought Johnny Mac would have no interest in this. No. I really like Douglas. Nanette, I think, is overrated. Something can both be good and overrated. Nanette is good, but people treated that like it was the second coming of comedy. It's fine, but tap the brakes, people. I actually think Douglas is funnier than Nanette. Okay, so it's good, but it's overrated. You know what I mean? So as I started this thing, I was loving the first 20 minutes or so. Hannah as host, I thought they crushed it. Then Just Tom came out and absolutely crushed. That first 15 minutes of Gender Agenda is amazing. And then it started to be diminishing returns, and by no means bad, but maybe it was just the high of the first 15 that it just couldn't sustain. I actually paused it, so I didn't bail on it. I intend to go back, but I was getting a little tired. I'm like, I want to give this more of a shot. But the front half of that, really good. I'm not sure if it makes the list or not. I need to actually finish it, but I recommend you seek out on Netflix, Hannah Gadsby, Gender Agenda. Hannah told people, I asked myself, what's something positive that I could do to leverage my platform? The little bit of power I have to try and humanize the presence of genderqueer and trans comedians on the Netflix platform. It felt really important to help genderqueer performers find their feet, and me being a slightly divisive figure means there'll be a little bit of fuss made, and hopefully it'll draw attention. Joel McHale commented on the Community movie, hashtag 6 seasons in a movie. He shared some details. He said, we go to the center of the earth. It's like the movie The Core. That's different than what Donald Glover said, who said it's a college reunion. Joel was obviously joking, but he does believe the Community movie will shoot this year. He'll be shocked if it doesn't, but I really do think it's happening this year and probably next week. It's basically working around Donald's schedule. He called his Animal Control cast one of the funniest groups of people I've been around, in contrast to the Community team, who he joked were just a bunch of hacks. Ken Jeong will be on Animal Control this season as a dog whisperer. Joel said he, too, is a hack and can't act or tell jokes. He's not funny, not successful, and I've carried him for years. Everyone thinks I'm joking, but it's true. Joel then got serious again and said Ken's episodes were coming in too long because he did so much funny stuff. He was really too effing funny, and it ticked me off. IndieWire has the trailer for that Steve Martin documentary that's coming out. I've mentioned this before. It's in 2 parts. The first part is about Steve's stand-up, which is the part that interests me. The second part is about, his acting career and the banjo stuff, and I don't care about that stuff. But the first part I'm really interested in. Here, let's listen to a piece of the trailer.
And if you bought my album and you came down here expecting me to do a lot of routines from the record and I didn't do them, well, excuse
This guy was getting people so happy.
I always thought, this just does not happen. And it did.
He's the most idolized comedian ever.
He reinvented stand-up.
It was a cultural phenomenon.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
I am a wild
What he was doing was unique. It was chancy.
I always thought of him as the door out of the 60s. You could be silly again.
All comedy was political, and I felt that it was time to change that.
Steve Martin has just taken the big leap onto the big screen.
I was launched into the stratosphere.
Titled Steve. It's a documentary in 2 pieces. The then portion chronicles Steve Martin's early struggles and meteoric rise to revolutionize stand-up before walking away at 35. The now section focuses on the present day, with Steve Martin in the golden years of his career, etc., etc. Martin had previously told IndieWire, when I finished stand-up comedy in 1980, I never wanted to see a live audience again. I did movies for 10 or 20 years and only occasionally would be found in front of a live audience for, award shows or chatty events or something like that. And now it's the only place I want to be, meaning touring with Martin Short. I like having the audience there. They're predisposed to like you because they bought a ticket, and predisposed to listen and not judge you every 2 seconds. He sounds like John Cleese there. Steve premieres March 29th on Apple TV+. People stunned about Just for Laughs Montreal being canceled. I was getting texts from former coworkers and industry friends, and we all had the same reaction of like, wow, I can't believe that happened. The CBC spoke to comedian Mike Critch. They were curious, how does something like this happen? Because it looks like a big success. Mike said, that's show business, though. Everything is fake in show business, but I don't think people realize how big that organization is. It's the festival, it's all the spin-offs, it's a TV show based on that. It's a million different things and festivals all around the world, so maybe it's a case of getting bigger than they can handle. But also coming out of a pandemic, show business has had a hard time as anyone, if not harder. There's one thing you need for a comedy show, and that's audiences. I'm wondering, as are some of the Toronto media, what's going to happen with the Toronto Festival. I assume that, too, will be canceled this year, which stinks. I got some album news for you today. About a year ago, Andrew Santino put out a Netflix special called Cheeseburger that is now out in audio form. Minneapolis-based comedian Ellie Hino is releasing her debut comedy album on April 5th. It's called Soft Bones, a compilation of stories about being an ADHD mom, a weird wife, and a regular human woman. They were kind enough to send over a clip. Let's listen.
So I'm a massage therapist, but I'm also a Gemini. So, yeah, I don't like to do stuff just normal. So I'm a massage therapist for a hospice. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I am. I'm an angel. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know what hospice is, it's pretty funny stuff. It's comfort care for the terminally ill. And I'm actually an independent contractor, so I don't have like a 401k or anything, but I am going to heaven. Just kidding, that's not real. We're just going back to space.
That's Ellie Hino, Soft Bones, April 5th. Liz Mealy will have a new stand-up special called Murder Sheets, Tuesday, April 2nd. Free on YouTube, 9 Eastern. Filmed live at the Bell House in Brooklyn, Liz hit the stage with her rapid-fire storytelling style to tell tales of dating, murder, rules about edibles, international touring, dead cats, and more. It's Liz Mealy, Murder Sheets, April 2nd. Kevin Casey White has released Harangue on 800-Pound Gorilla. That's out now. Harangue is a masterful exercise in audience interaction. Kevin's crowd work is the centerpiece, and he uses it positively, trying to draw the audience together rather than picking on the crowd. Kumail Nanjiani, part of a press release. A snack food company has a new campaign called It's Basically Cheating. The campaign features Academy Award and Emmy-nominated writer, actor, and comedian Kumail Nanjiani in an unexpected and satirical series of spots where he cheats at weightlifting, kayaking, and ice skating. He even goes as far as to hire a construction crew to build himself an epic 40-foot-tall sandcastle. His sharp wit and playful delivery punctuate the core campaign theme that eating Quest products are so good that it feels like cheating. Stuart Heflin is a suit at Quest, and he said, at Quest, we aim to revolutionize snacking by flipping the macros of all the foods you love upside down. So they're big on protein, low on sugar, and huge on flavor. No, this is not a commercial. I'm just reading the press release to you. Stuart the Suit says the campaign leans into the idea that we all need a good cheat or life hack to make our personal quests a little easier and a lot more fun. Partnering with great comedic talent like Kamel does that just to inject cheeky entertainment and cultural relevance into our brand vision. The Connecticut Post asked Joe Pera, this is a weird exchange. Joe, can we ask you about your tomato obsession for a second? It's all over your Instagram. Joe said, sure. The Post said, I saw one theory online saying you're a big Buffalo Bills fan, and Bills fans allegedly hate Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't like tomatoes. Is there something along those lines of football and superstitions and stuff like that? Joe said, a couple of things. I will say that Bills fans don't allegedly hate Tom Brady. They do hate Tom Brady, and rightfully so. You see your man spinning out right now. He's doing cryptocurrency commercials, getting the fat sucked out of his face. We knew it all along. Secondly, that has nothing to do with the tomatoes. One of the interesting things about doing comedy and seeing some of the stuff, the theories that people have online, is it just makes you realize how much people like to make stuff up on the internet with no basis. And that's your comedy news for today. All right, that was fun. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. Trying to grow this thing. Appreciate your help in doing that. If you enjoy the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. I got to get back on the iced coffees and lay off the smoothies. The belly's getting a little round. I got to cut that out. Maybe don't buy me a coffee. No, buy me a coffee. I'll just stop siphoning the funds off to Smoothie Land. See you tomorrow.